or is that? Hello, hello, I'm Dr. Brett Spradlin, and we are at Divine Design Natural Health. And is there a crowd here? Goodness gracious, there is. And they're ready to learn because we have a lot to go through tonight. We're going to get right down to it. A couple of announcements, a little bit of housekeeping. How many of you in here have ever had real raw milk? Like a handful out of the whole crowd. I grew up my whole life just having store-bought stuff. Needless to say, I had a bunch of allergies, had a bunch of problems, had a bunch of breathing, allergy, skin stuff, things, whatever. Now, things that we are able to fix in a matter of days with most people that come in here. If you need any information on a local, very accessible way to get a hold of raw milk or whatever, speak to the front desk. I'm just going to say that. I wanted to say that on camera so everyone, I know we got a bunch of people watching online all the time that are not here, but talk to the front desk for easily accessible local dairy. Tonight is a class called Hands in the Air. Thank you. I had a hard time thinking of it there for a minute. I was struggling. I got it though, but thank you. But in the last quarter, we do a new class schedule every quarter. So the new class schedule is coming out in January, and we'll have it actually next week. But the new quarter in January will be some cool stuff. They're going to be shorter classes. We've done very much longer classes in the last quarter because we're refilming everything so as to update everything. Because you all know we needed new videos because they were so hot on Vimeo and YouTube that we broke the internet and they had to throw us off YouTube and Vimeo. Too much truth. So we had to film new videos. So they had to be a lot longer because there was a lot more stuff that we've realized and learned in the last few years. So the last time we did this class, I did this class in 2015, once, 2016, 17, 18, 19. I think this is probably the 6th or 7th time I've taught some version, some iteration of this class in some way, shape, or form. But back in October, early October, we did Shotpocalypse. If you need to know anything about vaccines or completely, for even the current set of bioweapon injection lethal injections that they're pushing upon the public. The class you want to watch is Shotpocalypse. We are on Rumble. We are on BitChute. We are no longer on Vimeo or YouTube. Then we did another class called Diseases That Don't Exist. That's where you talk about allergies, all the multiple sclerosis, autoimmune stuff, diseases that don't exist. That may appeal to some of you. Then we did another one called Mystery Speaker Panel Discussion where we had 4 medical professionals, 3 of them being nurses, all of them being patients here, who discussed actually, what they've seen happen in their profession in the last 2 years and kind of the truth about were the hospitals really packed? You might want to check that one out. That was called the Mystery Speaker Panel Discussion. Then we did one a couple weeks ago called The Cure for Cancer. The cure for cancer is what? 2 words. Who was here? The cure for cancer is the cause. Knowing the cause. It's very simple. You might want to check that out if you know anyone with cancer. And then the very last class we did was called the 5G Pentagram. We talked about the 5G technology, what's happening in the realm of electromagnetic radiation and all that, what we do, all the solutions that we do to get past some of that. And tonight, without further ado, we are talking about hands in the air. This is a way of saying, whoa, we're all being held up and they're stealing from us. We don't know what to do about it. And you can tell the guy's got, red splotches all over his face and his hands. There's crisscrosses in the sky. So yes, tonight the topic is going to be, thank you, Mom, chemtrails. Now, I will say this too. There's the solutions to this I'm going to cover at the end. However, I'll say them right now so that you can be thinking about them. Then we'll cover them at the very end. Solutions, here we go. You cannot, just like 5G we talked about a couple weeks ago, you cannot eliminate this. That's everywhere, it's a worldwide phenomena, but you can limit it. So just know that. Okay, Dr. Spradlin, how do we limit this? Well, you can limit your amount of time spent underneath crisscrossed checkerboard skies. You can also limit your exposure by upping your immune system, knowing how, which is what our specialty is. We are supplement and natural health sommeliers. So if you know much about wine, somebody says, hey, you know, a sommelier, a good sommelier will say, when you taste a wine, he'll say, do you taste the oak in there? Do you taste the currant? Do you taste the cherry? Do you taste the oak of the barrel? You know? He points out things. He helps you understand. What we do is we're a supplement. We're a nutritional health, natural health sommelier. So we can say, hey, this supplement is really going to help you sleep better. It's going to help you open up your drainage pathways. It's going to help you eliminate the pain and the dysfunctional joints. So what we do through all the nutrition is we use everything that God put here on this planet, plant and animal tissues, in order to readjust, to rebuild, to actually literally rebuild and re-stimulate your nutritional biochemistry in seconds. Start it on a path so that over weeks and months, that pain goes away. You don't need that hip replacement. You don't need that shoulder surgery. You don't need those drugs, because now you're so healthy that there's no reason medically to put you on the drugs. See, we don't take you off the drugs. We get rid of the need for you to be on the drugs. Ha, ha, ha. Take that medicine. You know what I'm saying? So we do that with nutrition, because here's the deal. God did not leave you stranded on this earth, deserted without solution for some kind of stupid bioweapon that some atheist in a laboratory created. The plants that he put on this earth are more powerful, my friend, if you did not know, than anything that a demon-worshipping atheist can concoct in a laboratory by genetically modifying plants, animals, insects, and humans. So you have every bit of accessibility to the most powerful plant and animal compounds in the world. Right here in your backyard, Cleveland. You're welcome. Other thing you can do too is detox technology, like ionic detoxification foot spas. We'll talk about saunas, foot spas, pulse therapy, the pulse electromagnetic field therapy. We'll talk about that later, along with laser. How many of you knew that cold laser, like what we use, 2 different lasers in this office, can actually release chemical toxins and heavy metals from the tissues within whatever we're pointing it at? See, I talk about the lasers so little, but if most people understood what the laser technology did, they would be knocking down the doors. Fixing, surgical scars, fixing surgical operations, fixing teeth problems, fixing all kinds of stuff with what? In the beginning, God said, let there be laser, exactly. Understand avenues of elimination. Tonight, you'll understand, like, wow, why are so many people I know sick? Well, one reason is because nobody understands, very few people understand the avenues of elimination. In other words, guys, you have 4 ways for things that have been eaten, drunk, sucked in, breathed, or injected into you to get out. Women, you have 5. Guys, here they are. Pee, poo, breath, sweat. Women, here they are. Pee, poo, breath, sweat, blood. Everybody get that? So women, you have one more way to get things out, which is why you have more prevalence of disease, more frequency of disease, but who lives longer, men or women? Boom, now you got it. That's one of the reasons why women live longer. But so when you understand that when those drainage pathways get clogged up and your pee, poo, breath, and sweat can't go out, what happens to you? All of your lymph nodes back up. Your lymph nodes back up and you get diagnosed with what? Say it. Cancer, lymphoma, multiple myeloma. It goes by many names. Really the same disease. They just rename it 50,000 times, so you don't know which one's which, but it's the same disease. There's only one disease. Toxicosis. In other words, poisoning. There's only one disease. You have been tricked into thinking there's fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue and irritable bowel and hemorrhoids and all this crap. It's all the same problem. It's all the same problem, just located in different spots in your body. How many anatomical locations are there in your body? Hundreds of thousands. So you see how this ends? It doesn't. You got it. So keep that in mind. Those are the solutions that we'll talk about towards the end. However, let's get started. Let's do some business. You ready to do some business? Let's get right into this. I will disarm you from the very start. I will disarm you. I will knock your straw man crap out of your hands and go, you know what? You are correct. I am a conspiracy theorist. Go ahead, Jonathan. I am a conspiracy theorist. I am. Because I have yet to find one that doesn't have truth in it. And if you were just to look at the word conspiracy, it just means, hey, there's a group of people who are acting like they're not really there, doing bad things to other people who don't believe that those people exist. And then theory means, well, it might be provable, but for right now, the theory thing is the best option we got because people haven't shown their hands. However, in 2021, how many of you know conspiracy theory became conspiracy fact? There is no doubt anymore. Your government is conspiring. Your medical health care facility is conspiring. Your pharmaceutical companies have always been conspiring. The insurance companies are conspiring, and they're hoping to God that you don't put it all together because they are worshiping some demons, and they don't want you to know. Okay? So I am a conspiracy theorist. You can call me names all you want, but I'll just knock it out of your hands before you even throw it. I am a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist, and I'm a conspiracy factist. So the 3 rules, though, however, regarding all of this is you're never going to see me get emotional. You're going to see me think very logically. And I would implore you to do the same, because in this world, at this time, everybody's skitzed out of their mind because they don't know which talking head on CNN is telling the truth. And they're going to churches that are shutting down because of the scamdemic. So I would say just go with logic over emotion, and you will be ahead of 99% of the population. Number 2, I go from a very science background, physiology background. I don't care about your opinion. You shouldn't care about your opinion. And I can assure you, my friend, that God himself does not care about your opinion. He doesn't. He's never going to ask, so did you think I handled that correctly? I promise you, he's not. Your job is to look at the facts that he has presented to you and the availability of things that would represent truth and fact and evidence in a court of law and go, can I make sense of this? Can I make sense of it with the physiology? Yes. So when I look at what's being presented in the media, it's very different than if someone who doesn't understand physiology looks at something in the media. We would look at things totally differently. Does that make sense? And when I understand who's behind, who's pulling the strings behind, or when you understand who published the study, who paid for the published study to be published, and then what results did they get? You just look at that. 2 weeks ago when we did the 5G thing, I talked about the difference between industry science and independent science. What you're seeing in the media is industry science. What's being censored off YouTube and Facebook is independent science. Independent science is not funded by the people who make the product. Industry science, vaccine industry science, 5G technology, AT&T science, the studies, that's industry science. It's paid for by the people who made the product. You get me? Insert Moderna, Pfizer, insert. Independent science is people, researchers, independent laboratories, people who aren't making money off the product, doing their own science. So what you're hearing in the media is industry science. What I'm studying and listening to is independent science. In other words, people who aren't making money off the product. You need to think about that too. And then number 3, my 3 rules. This really should be the number 1 rule, but I wanted to make it look nice. Bible, my compass in a sea of lies. If you are not... If you're not in that ilk quite yet, you don't get what I'm saying with that, that's okay. There are people who come here and become patients, and then they get it. But understand that the Bible is a very interesting book, particularly in these times. Can I get an amen on that? Amen. That's all I'll say about that, but click on the next, let's go, Jonathan, or let's go, Brandon. Thank you. I love it. So if you don't believe that something is coordinated, you'll never see how it is coordinated. And likewise, in that same vein, a corollary to that, if you do not believe there is a conspiracy, you simply do not believe the Bible. And for that, I would say we can talk and we can have a dialogue, but you got to understand, when you walk into Divine Design Natural Health, it doesn't say Brett Spradlin Natural Health. This is Divine Design Natural Health. So if you come here thinking you're going to get Universe Gaia teaching and you're going to be, plugged into the Christ consciousness, you're in the wrong spot. This is a Bible place. This ain't some new age yoga hippie crap. This is Bible stuff. So if you're into it, great. If you're not into it, great. If you're into it, we're going to get along. If you're not, we can still get along, but you got to come to an understanding that we're living in a time and a place where you need to understand some of these things. Does that make sense? Can I get an amen? Amen. Next. Why can people not get this? Why are you having a hard time at Thanksgiving with I almost said Uncle Karen. It's 2021, I guess. Why are you having a hard time with Aunt Karen and Uncle Chad about them seeing things completely differently than what you see? Well, because they're being chemically castrated, and they don't know it. See, they're being indoctrinated by the media. They're being fluoridated by the water. We're even going to talk about the indoctrination tonight in tonight's topic. Fluoridated water. That's what we're talking about next week. Next week's class, you're full of it. Guess what? 80% of your body's water. So if they poison the water supply and you think, well, I'm living on a well, I don't have to filter it. Guess what? Your brain ain't working right, because your 80% of water is not 80% of water. It's a little bit of poison and 79% water, right? You have to filter your water. So that's why they fluoridated the water. Grand Rapids, Michigan, 1959. They've been doing it ever since. We're one of only 6 countries in the world that still fluoridate the water supply, and they tell you it's for cavities, even though your kids and your grandkids are still getting cavities. Medicated. They're medicated out of their minds. You're talking to people, they can't think, they can't even focus, they can't concentrate, they're driving off the road, they're medicated out of their minds. I see people on 27 medications. There is no computer, no mainframe in the world. There is not a bank of servers in a server farm on Earth that could calculate their genetics, their food, their drugs, 27 drugs. How many things could go badly wrong with that picture? There's not a computer in the world that can calculate it, but you're told that medicine is life-saving and then it's going to change the world. How'd that work out for you in the last 50, 60 years? Did people get healthier or sicker? Sicker. Boom, there you have it. Vaccinated people, well, you couldn't talk to people about this before 2020, but look at what's happening now. They're signing up for a lethal injection, genetic modification, people, of the human genome. Yep. And they've been tricked into doing it for a job. Tricked. It ain't a law. It was a press conference. You just watched the biggest psyop in history. You just watched the biggest IQ test in the world ever. And the churches all failed. You just watched the biggest IQ test, and half the people you know went down the crapper over a fake press conference and over a fake disease. Fake. Did people die? Yes. Did people always die? Yes. Are people still dying? Yes. Will people always die? Yes. Did they relabel the flu? Yes. Did they relabel the pneumonia? Yes. Did they relabel bronchitis? Yes. Did they fake the tests? Yes. Were the tests made in China? Yes. Were the masks necessary? No. Were the masks made in China? Yes. Are they still putting swabs up people's noses and planting crap in their face? Yes. Are people rolling up their sleeve for their own euthanasia? Yes. And they're begging for it. Because of all this, they can't think, they're not even human anymore. Now they're really not human anymore because they just changed their genetics. So you're not really made in the image of God anymore, are you? On top of that, they're eating food that's been treated with pesticides, which pollutes and screws up your brain, right? Every one of these things. Scientifically, I could show you how it screws up your brain. Screws up your behavior, screws up your sex drive, screws up your fertility, screws up your digestion, every one of them. Then, on top of that, people are smearing themselves with crap made by demonic companies like Procter & Gamble, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. Estee Lauder, Avon. What does Avon mean again in Hebrew? Nobody's looked that up? Avon. No?
I don't know.
Look up the word Avon and see what it really means. There's your homework. There's one part of your homework. But they're all cosmeticated, they're food sedated, which means the chemicals in their food are screwing them up. So they've got the food, they've got the air, and they've got the water. All of these are going to be topics about what we talk about tonight, and then the radiation. From nuking their food in the microwave, nuking their processed frozen food in the microwave, to then having a 5G antenna right next to their head for an hour and a half while they're arguing with somebody they don't like, or they're sitting in front of a computer getting radiated, and sitting there on their lap, and then they wonder, why can't I get pregnant? Why is my testosterone all screwed up? Why can't, my periods are all screwed up? They're being radiated. So you put all these things together, and guess what? It is very likely that your coworkers and your family members have differing views, at least in part, due to the list. Effects of the above will lead to medical misdiagnosis. They will be on drugs for the rest of their life if they don't understand this. And inevitable drugging for life. Families and workplaces are in constant conflict over misunderstood physiology and fraudulent science. Why? Because they're not even telling you any of this exists. They're telling you the only way that you can get past this fake hoax, the COVIDs, the only way you can get past the COVIDs has nothing to do with food, has nothing to do with detoxification, certainly has nothing to do with the 2 drugs that they cannibalized and censored. The only way you can get this is to roll up your sleeve and get a bioweapon injection. It's the only way. There's no other way. That's what they're telling you. So, let's rock. Check this out. Emerging patterns in global health. Are you interested to know what are the top global patterns? I hate the word global, but you know what I mean. Top worldwide health issues. Are you interested to know? Yes. Here they are. I boiled down a lot of crap for you to see this. We're being made dumber. No surprise there. Have you been out in public in the last 2 years? We're being made sicker. How many of you would disagree with that statement? You all know it. Despite the fact that you have imaging centers everywhere, you have pharmacies on every corner next to every church. Hell, I'm waiting for the day when the pharmacies are inside the churches. You have, it's coming, it's coming. So you have more people sick now. You have more chronic autoimmune conditions now. You have more sick kids than ever. The cancer hospitals for kids are going to be packed. They're already packed, but they're making more oncology centers all the time. People are getting sicker by the day, and we're being made infertile. Those are the top emerging patterns in health. Does that surprise anyone? Fertility clinics are going to be going through the roof. Why? Because of the lethal injection for the COVIDs. That's what's going to happen. So here's the top emerging patterns in global health. You think medicine is doing their job? No. I think they're dropping the ball in the end zone. Hello. And why does that not surprise me, being that probably 30 to 50% of the people who come in here have some background in or are currently working in modern healthcare? I'm not kidding. And watch the class mystery speaker panel discussion, and you'll see 3 nurses who are all patients here talking about what's really going on, okay? So those are the emerging patterns in health. So you have to ask a question like, how can this be? Everybody I know is vaccinated senseless. Everybody I know watches a buttload of TV. Everybody I know takes a buttload of drugs. They're eating a buttload of food. They're pulling through Chick-fil-A 5 times a day. Like, how can this be possible? We live in the greatest country in the history of the world. It used to be, at least, until Lesko Brandon. But we live in the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest freedom, the greatest technology. Yet we have the sickest society in the history of known modern recorded civilization. We've got more drugs, we've got more vaccines, we've got more imaging centers, and we still see this. Now, you got to be honest with yourself and look at this and go, huh, that dude's right. I don't like him. He's got funny hair and a big nose, but he's right. Next. Just kidding. Hegelian dialectic. I'm going to cover this because it doesn't matter who Hegel was. It doesn't matter even the big word dialectic. Just understand this. There's always going to be this. There's always going to be this. There's always going to be this in any play, in any screenplay, in any plot, in any conspiracy, in any story. There's always going to be a beginning, middle, and an end. The threes, the thing I went through back in the summer, artificial versus natural. The 3 things, threes. It's threes. It's threes. Everything's threes. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Red, yellow, blue, in pigment, or green, red, blue, in light. There's always 3. There's always 3 things in an equation. Here, in this equation, there's always a problem, there's a reaction, and there's a solution. For instance, there's going to be crops dying due to, and I will use mega air quotes on this, mega air quotes. I hate these words, because whenever you see those words, here, I'll give you a secret, and we'll talk about it later. Whenever you see those words, insert the word, take out climate change, and insert the word depopulation. It's a little secret. But the problem is crops are dying due to climate change. Big air quotes. Big, heavy, caterpillar air quotes there. Reaction. Farmers need more resilient seeds because everything's dying. Right? And then the solution is a company named Monsanto that was bought by a company named Bayer because Monsanto was getting a bad rap. So Bayer, the world's largest German pharmaceutical black magic witchcraft voodoo dealer in the world, bought Monsanto, got rid of Monsanto, and said, well, okay, we'll all just absorb Bayer. So now you have the world's biggest drug company combined with the world's biggest seed company making your food. What could possibly go wrong with that? So solution, Monsanto then says, we have a seed that resists aluminum. Why would a seed need to resist aluminum? But here you have it, right here. Check it out. Jonathan, let's go, Brandon. There it is. So genetically modified seed patent, aluminum-resistant gene patent, 7582809, granted in September 1st, 12 years ago. Crazy. Developed at Cornell in Ithaca, New York. Patent assigned to USDA and Brazilian Enterprise for Agricultural Research. Think I'm crazy? There it is. There's the patent. Now, the people I follow have been checking out the patents in the last, 30 years, watching what's happening with the virus patents. Because you know the viruses are patented. You do know that, right? So that means they're made, created, right? These are all in the patent office, the U.S. Trade and Patent Office. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we'll talk about Kill Gates here in a little while. But when you understand that a patent, that's why you can't see a commercial on TV for a tomato, because that tomato isn't patented. You'll never see a commercial on TV for anything that will help you or make you healthy, ever. It just won't happen. So, here are patents. The people I follow, if you don't know who David Martin is, you ought to check out David Martin. He's a lawyer. He's the bald guy with a bow tie. He'll blow your mind. He's a genius. Because he's been tracing all these patents. He has a company that watches worldwide patent issuance. And he'll spell out for you who are the people behind everything going on, because he's been watching the patents. Stuff like this. So you know the viruses have a patent. What about the vaccines? You think the vaccines have a patent?
Oh, yeah.
So the virus itself is owned by, I believe, don't quote me on this, I could have this backwards, but the European Union owns the patent to the virus. Guess who owns the patent to the vaccine? The US government, along with Moderna. Interesting, huh? Because they mandate that everybody in the government workers get what?
The vaccine.
Their product. See where this is going? So here's the patent. This is just on aluminum-resistant seeds. Nobody batted an eye at this because nobody thought, why would a seed need to be resistant to aluminum? But it says it right there. Sorghum, this is sorghum, right, molasses, aluminum tolerance gene. They patented it, put it in a seed. So if you think, oh yeah, well, genetically modified organisms, they're just here to feed the world. No, there is no there is no problem. You could remove genetically modified organisms tomorrow, and it would not make a dent in the starvation problem, because starvation isn't the problem. Starvation is not the problem. I will prove it here in a minute. But I just wanted to show this for you and say, well, this is an aluminum tolerance. This is a gene for a seed, to put in a seed. It's a gene. It's the patent for it. 20 years or 15 years ago. So next. And here, let me explain this too. Before we get into this, chemical exposure, I just want you all to know this. Some things that, like for factory workers or for people in like big plants, chemicals and metals. What is the document that tells everybody in that plant? Anybody in here know the booklet or the document that's available in any plant, in any factory, that would tell you all the chemicals that are there and what to do about them? Does anybody know?
I don't know the name, but I know what you're talking about.
MSDS. MSDS. Have you seen one?
Yes.
Big, right?
Yes.
I don't have one here. But the Material Safety Data Sheets is what it's short for. And it'll tell you all the chemicals that are in that area and what the problems are with those chemicals, okay? Another thing you need to know about is I had a patient years ago that he was getting some air conditioning work done, okay? So interesting. I wrote it down to share it in this class. Shared it in this class for 5 years straight, five or 6 years. He had to have some maintenance done on his air conditioning unit. And so the guy came out, his repairman came out, and he said that some companies, he had to order a part for this air conditioning unit. And he said some companies won't warranty their parts within a certain mileage of certain chemical plants. Are there any chemical plants around here in the Cleveland area?
Yeah.
Name them. Olin. Huh? Duracell. Who else? Merck's right down the street. Procter & Gamble's over here. Duracell's over here. Who else? Wacker. Who else? How about Bowater? Huge. So right there, I just named like eight or nine big chemical areas, plants that, so this repairman, this AC repairman was saying, certain mileage, you can't get a company to warranty their parts within certain mileages of certain areas of chemical concentration, because the parts will degrade sooner due to the air pollution. That's parts to an air conditioner. What about your parts? He told me that, and I was like, Thank you, brother. I know exactly what class that's going into. So he couldn't get parts for his air conditioner because he was too close to the chemical plants, miles away, and the company wouldn't warranty the parts because the parts are too close because the parts are outside sucking what? Air. You can't make this up. So when people are cooking in microwaves and chunking off the Teflon in their eggs in the morning, and they're drinking tequila on Friday night, and they're waking up and taking Tylenol on Saturday morning. Oops. And when they're slathering on sunscreen all day because they're afraid of getting sunburnt, and they're putting all of these chemicals in their bodies. They're breathing it. They're eating it. They're taking in the plastic. The tin foil. Unless you're wearing a hat, then that's okay. But the tin foil, you can't put the tin foil on your food. If you're wearing a hat, it's okay. They're breathing in the chemtrails. They're sucking down the fluoride. All this stuff. Think about it. The big take home, the biggest thing that you'll get out of tonight, I think, is this. Is for your attention to be focused on an invisible germ so that you do not focus your attention on the visible poisons that you are consuming in the food, the air, the water, the cosmetics, the cleaning supplies, the chemtrails, all of it. If you can get somebody's responsibility to be, well, I don't know what happened. I just got a cough from Larry on Friday night, and it must be a contagious virus, so I have no responsibility to do anything. I just have to go roll up my sleeve and take my death jab. That's where they want you. See, that's what they want you to think. And who's they? We can talk about that. It's a long talk, but we can talk about it. That's for everybody's first question. Who's they? Well, powers that be. Look at who's running the media and paying for your demise, right? So understand that. The biggest thing, they will keep your attention on something completely invisible while ignoring the completely visible poisons in everything you're touching, eating, drinking. Your body is doing exactly what it needs to do. It does not need any help from an anti-inflammatory drug or an anti-diarrhea drug or an anti-fungal skin cream or steroid stuff, because now you're plugging up the ways for your body to heal. Think about it. It's so easy. So power mind control will make you sure that you have extreme difficulty with some things that you're going to learn tonight. Remember, medicine, 2 things. Medicine says all diseases come from, who knows it? Previous classes, 2 things. What are they?
Genes and germs.
Genes and germs. Medicine always says. Can anyone think of another thing that medicine says diseases come from, rather than your genetics or exposure to pathogenic organisms like germs, like viruses, bacteria? Can anybody think of anything? All of medicine, you've got a lot of diseases to pick from. They tell you Alzheimer's, genetic. They tell you diabetes, genetic. They tell you cancer, genetic. Even though at the cure for cancer, we figured out what's cancer really? Exposure to chemicals and radiation, right? And in America, your only way to fix cancer is chemicals and radiation. Ha ha ha! Got you, suckers. Every other disease. Can anybody think of anything other than genetics and germs in medicine, right? We're ignoring everything. All those other food, air, water, totally ignoring all those. So it's to make you beg for your own enslavement. It's to make you beg for your own medical poisoning. So it's all anti-God, anti-love, anti-life, anti-freedom. So what we're going to do is we're just going to line up every single person in the world for forced poisoning, but we can do nothing to help starving people or to help people get fresh water. But we can line up the entire population of the entire world to get a shot. Interesting, isn't it? So it's never been about safety or health. And you're going to learn here in a minute, you're going to learn some stuff that will be difficult for you to believe. In the meantime, commercial break. Everybody welcome Amanda.
All right. So speaking of things that don't exist, this testimonial says, my husband and I both struggled with allergies for years. This week we went to the mountains and were both concerned about allergies, but neither of us had any issues while we were there. We even got to go on a hike.
Oh, nice.
Wonder why that could be.
Interesting. Yeah. Guess what? Diseases that don't exist, one of them, allergies. Why? They tell you allergies are from pollen and cats and dogs and hair and air and water and food. It's fake. Your allergies are not from, they're not from pollen. They're from what you're drinking and eating and putting on your body every single day. I know you'll have a hard time with that, but the mind control is so thick. It's so deep. It's so hard for you to understand. If I tell you your allergies are not allergies, it's a cognitive dissonance thing. It's like, a what? My allergist for years has been pumping me with stuff that, yeah, causes allergies. You're getting it now, right? All right, let's check this out. So, yeah, allergies don't exist. Here we go. Let's get into it. What partly cloudy used to look like, and then what partly cloudy looks like now. I've always wondered, what's the difference between partly cloudy and mostly sunny? Oh, yeah. That ever sink in with any of you guys? Which one is it? They're the same. But that's 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago. That's what I grew up with. That's what it is today. Did you guys enjoy the rain today?
Yes.
Did you look up in the sky yesterday?
Yes.
Now you know why the rain hit us today. Next. Nothing says trust the science quite like you can't sue us if something goes wrong, and we need 55 years to release the data to the public. Trust the science. Now, I'm going to trust God. You can trust your fake, lobbied, paid-for government industry science any day. You can trust that crap. But I'm going to trust what I said before, the physiology. I'm going to trust the logic over the emotion, and I'm definitely going to trust the Bible over your fake science. Next. Got a stroke right after the jab. Must have been that climate change. That's what they're, yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Next. Stop calling it a concentration camp. Australia, you guys know what's going on in Australia? If you don't, you're living in a closet. Right, it's just an Australian government-run facility where you are detained without a trial, relocated by the military, cannot leave whenever you want, and will be pursued and arrested for trying to escape in the name of safety. 80 years ago, we had this going on in Germany. This is Australia. They took away the guns. It took them 5 years. Here they are. Wow. Here they are. That's what happens. There you go. So here's some observations, realizations. Don't you feel better when you stand and fight rather than crawling into a hole? Everybody in this room should be going, yep.
Yep.
Your family's in this. Your extended, well, I don't have kids. Yeah, but you got aunts, you got uncles, you got cousins, you got mom. I know you got a mom and dad.
Yep.
Don't care about that, anybody but you. I hear this all the time. Well, I don't have kids. This doesn't really affect me. Do you breathe air? This affects you. So once you know it, you can't unknow it. You have heard that this is just a conspiracy theory. Right, Brandon? There it is. I'm going to keep that, Jonathan, if you don't mind. LGB, yeah? LGB, FJB. You've heard many things are just conspiracy theories. You've heard this. You've heard this for a long time. GMOs, fluoride, vaccines, drugs. It's 2021 and people are waking up across the world, right? Yes, you've heard this. Vaccines safe and effective. It's highlighted blatant censorship. You've seen not just me. You've seen dozens. If you're awake and you have a pulse and you're watching what's going on, YouTube, Facebook, everybody's getting censored. All of the top doctors in the world out there right now getting deplatformed and censored. Do you know they just started doing domain name service, knocking you off the internet? Not censoring you from Facebook or Google, from social media platform, but like at the domain name service, like high level hierarchical stuff, just wiping your entire website off the existence of the World Wide Web. Have you heard this?
No.
Absolutely, it's happening. So like if you're hosted at GoDaddy or you're hosted at all these other hosting services, the UN is talking about knocking websites right off the map. It's happening. So years ago, no one believed that we were being surveilled regularly, and now you have people paying, signing up for Ring, Nest, Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, all spying on you regularly, and everybody knows it, and they're okay paying for their own surveillance, and sending, their blood pressure, heart rate right to the cloud. People are paying for their own surveillance just like they're paying for their own euthanasia. It's unbelievable, except for the shots; those are free.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Remember that. Global warming and climate change have become a new religion. Yeah, I'll prove that to you here in a minute. But how does this topic relate to climate change? Why would them spraying chemicals in the air, which we'll show and prove to you here in a minute, how would this relate to climate change? Right? We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars dumping crap in the atmosphere, right? And telling you that we have to stop emissions of what? Carbon. Guess what's made of carbon? You're made of carbon. Guess what else is made of carbon? Guess what else is made of carbon? This is the good part. This is the great part.
Carbon-based unit.
The birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees are all made of carbon. You are the carbon they want to reduce. See, there's a difference between carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. They are praying to God that you don't know the difference between the two. That's how simple this is. The science behind this is staggering. People don't know the difference. When somebody locks their car in a garage and turns it on, they die of what poisoning? Carbon monoxide poisoning. When you take in a breath of oxygen and breathe out, you're breathing out what? Carbon dioxide. And the plants breathe what? Carbon dioxide. So if you limit carbon dioxide, what happens to the plants? This is depopulation. So when I say climate change, understand, take those words out. They don't mean what you're taught they mean. That means depopulation. So how does this topic relate? That's how it relates. And here's another short list right here, right? Check this out. Weather control, crop production, population control. If you control the weather, you control what?
The crops and the population.
Everything. Water rights, flocks of dead birds. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
Seen that all over the news, haven't you? Where the hell did this flock of dead birds just decide to up and drop out of the sky? What would possibly cause that? Gee, I don't know. Must be a super paranormal event. Must be a UFO. I mean, they will make up anything. You see it all over the news. Diminished garden growth. Okay, I love the off-grid preppers. I love them. I am one. However, when they block out the sun and spray aluminum all over the place, what happens to your garden? See, you're not escaping this. You're not getting out of this. Diminished solar power. So if they block out the sun, guess what? Block out the sun, what do you mean? Oh, hold on. Oh, we'll get there. Diminished or decreased visibility, right? So you can't go see lovely Chicago, gun-free zone anymore because of the smog, right? Increased disease rates. Wait. What happened in the last year and a half where people had respiratory distress, they lost their ability to smell and taste? Oh yeah. Plus, while everybody was on lockdown, we put 2 million towers on 2 million 5G antennas on every water tower, every university, school, library, hospital, and business building to make everything look like they've got demonic crowns sticking out of the ground. While everybody was locked down, we started propagating the heaviest of all duty electromagnetic fields propagated throughout the history of the world. Right at the same time, operated them right at the same time in the same towns, in the same countries as what had this outbreak.
Right.
It's a big coincidence. Must be a conspiracy. Increasing disasters, floods, fires, famines, wars. Where have I read that before, right? Dying bee population, they call it CCD, colony collapse disorder. Einstein or Henry Ford, somebody famous, said you lose the bees, you lose humanity. Because why? The bees pollinate everything. So if we spray everything and we jack up the electromagnetic fields of the earth so the bees don't know where they're going, what happens to the food supply? Jack up the EMG, jack up the EMFs with 5G, and guess what? Well, you'd be seeing all of these things happening, right? Next. Increased forest fires. Remember last year when the forest fires were going crazy, but the forest fires lacked Canadian passports? Do you get what I'm saying? The forest fires went right up to the border of the United States. But none of the forest fires went into Canada. It was the damnedest thing. It was unbelievable. They didn't have their shots. Yeah, the forest fires didn't have their shots. So earthquakes, fires, floods, things like, I don't know, Hurricane Katrina. If you can control the weather,
Yes.
could you influence Hurricane Katrina?
Yes.
Or Hurricane, what's his name, that just hit Houston a little while back? What was that one? Harvey, yes. Could you influence some of those things?
Yes.
Could you influence famines? Could you influence wars? Could you influence rumors of wars? Well, yeah, of course. Demand for GMO crops, like we talked about, the aluminum seeds, right? Aluminum resistant seeds. Carbon taxes. You are the carbon they want to reduce. So the carbon taxes. Here's a short list of things. That's one of the biggest ones you're going to see. They're trying to limit carbon in the atmosphere, people. Get how important this, like, you can't make this up. Carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. Two different things. If you don't know the science, you don't know the physiology, like what I was saying before, you could easily be duped into this and going, oh yeah, the poor polar bears, they don't have anywhere to go anymore because the ice caps are, yeah, really? Okay. Climate legislation, right? They're going to start taxing the crap out of you if you buy meat. You have your social credit score, and if you buy something the government doesn't want you to buy because it's got a bigger carbon footprint, you're not going to be able to buy meat. You're going to be able to buy soy burger that looks like meat and causes cancer and gives you man boobies. Military training, yeah, you can influence, or planning, I mean, you can influence military. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you a document called Owning the Weather. It's going to be neat. And then herd migration. I mean that by animals and humans. So let's check this out. If you just go do research and check this out, in the great days of censorship, check this out. Jonathan's got these ready to go. If you just type in geoengineering into a search engine, this is what will come up. Now, I don't recommend Wikipedia. I just did this for a simple exercise for you to see how this works. If you just go to like Wikipedia and type in geoengineering, you'll see this come up. But then if you go to Wikipedia and type in chemtrails, we're going to show you what comes up. So here's climate engineering. Geoengineering, commonly geoengineering, is the deliberate and large-scale intervention in the Earth's climate system. Do you see that? The main category of climate engineering, solar geoengineering, we're going to talk about all this, and SRM, solar radiation management. Solar radiation management means what? Blocking out the sun, right? So you can't make this up. Are they going to block out the sun? They're already talking about it. And the sun will go dark and will give no light, right? Huh, interesting. We always thought it was planetary bodies just doing this crazy stuff. It's man. The earthquakes, the fracking, the floods, the fires, the famines. We're getting to the point where we're controlling the weather instead of God. It's crazy. Carbon dioxide removal, there it is. Carbon dioxide, not carbon monoxide. The concept of deliberately reducing the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere is often mistakenly classified with solar geoengineering as a form of climate engineering and assumed to be intrinsically risky. Somewhat viewed as potential complementary options for limiting climate change for its impacts alongside reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So we don't want tractors running and we don't want semis. So those damn greenhouse gases, you got to watch out. It's those farting cows, you know. So that's what happens. So climate engineering, it tells you right there, like, okay, here's a legitimate thing in science called climate engineering. Jonathan, let's go to chemtrails. It finishes, I didn't type that in, it finishes it for you. See, the AI doesn't want you to think that this is a real thing. Right. Interesting, isn't it? So the chemtrail conspiracy theory, here it is. The article is about the conspiracy theory that contrails, not chemtrails, but contrails, we'll explain this, are deliberate releases of poison. The conspiracy theory that contrails are deliberate, what did you just read about geoengineering? See, the public calls it, and conspiracy theorists call it chemtrails. Your government and the military calls it geoengineering. It's the same thing. Let that sink in. Let's check. The chemtrail conspiracy theory posits the erroneous belief that long-lasting contrails, condensation trails, we'll show you the difference, are chemtrails consisting of chemical or biological agents left in the sky by high-flying aircraft sprayed for nefarious purposes, undisclosed to the general public. Oh my goodness. I'm going to show you some things. You'll go, wow. Who wrote this? Believers in this conspiracy theory say that while normal contrails, condensation trails, dissipate relatively quickly, contrails that linger must contain additional substances. No, it's just, you've got the proof, you've got the patents, you've got the people talking about, yeah, this is what I do for a living, right? I spray chemicals out of planes. Is that a conspiracy theory? Those who subscribe to the theory speculate the purpose of the chemical release may be solar radiation management. They just told you they were doing it. They just told you they were doing SRM. Weather modification, psychological manipulation, big. Don't skip over that one. Human population control, biological or chemical warfare, or testing of biological or chemical agents on a population, and that the trails are causing respiratory illnesses and other health problems. Crazy, isn't it? So if you just look up a little bit of info nowadays, if you don't know, if you don't have discernment, you will be pulled down and you'll just be thinking, oh, I looked that up and it's a conspiracy theory. Honey, if it says conspiracy theory attached to it, you better know what it is. So let's just look at some pictures. Let me show you the difference, okay? We're going to compare contrails versus chemtrails. Now, what are contrails? You saw them as a kid.
Paper trail.
You saw them. Condensation trails, right? We've got some pictures here. This is one we took last week. This is unbelievable. I'd never seen one like this. This is such a dark, heavy, and there'll be better ones than this. This is such a dark, heavy line right here between, see these clouds? What kind of clouds are those, right? But in between, see, you've got it piercing the cloud here. That is not a cloud. That is not a contrail. That does not disappear behind the plane as the condensation dissipates. It's laid down. See this? And this is so deep and heavy. This is such a heavy one. I'd never seen this before. Look closely. Do you see it? Go back. Look closely. Do you see it? See the shadow?
Yeah.
See the shadow here?
Very dense.
Two different layers of clouds. Very, very, very dense. Those contrails, I mean, evaporation of condensation. Nah. For it to go from here to here, that's honey, that's some dope they're spraying right there. That's dope. But right here, it's so thick that you're seeing a shadow cast on this layer of clouds and a shadow cast on that layer. I've never seen a chemtrail cast a shadow. That was new to me, and that was last week. I thought, that's appropriate. That's going in the class. Where did I see that? That was coming back from, where was I last weekend? Nashville. No, last week was coming back from Kentucky. Yep. Next. Here's a different one, and what you see here, and beautiful, look, see this other one going right behind it, miles away, see that? You probably can't see it from the back. But right here, that shadow, it's so thick, it's casting a shadow right here. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Next. But here's some better pictures for you to see, like if you've, yeah, next. That's what I'm talking about. Stuff like this is what I'm talking about. Now, they're not always as heavy as this, but few things. These are not commercial jet altitude. These are not passenger jet altitude. These are not flying in normal flight patterns. Anybody ever lived near an airport? The planes come in and out. Like it's planned. Because the ATCs, the air traffic controllers, it's a very coordinated effort. Does this look like a coordinated effort? They're just dumping stuff at random. This is not following trails of normal flight paths. Next. But you'll see this now. Now, is that condensation where it curves? If you get good at looking up, most people are so here that they never look up. So if you look up, and you'll see some of these, you'll see them turn on, and then they'll turn off, and then they'll turn on, and then they'll turn off. You'll see sometimes, you'll see the chemtrail pilots have hangovers, and they'll pull crap like this. You'll never see them on holidays. That's interesting. Next, you'll see them before and after holidays. I lived in Florida for 5 years. Here's the inside of one. Still tell me that's a conspiracy theory? Really? So they take out the seats and they load up barrels and they have all the barrels hooked together, right? That's not just buoyancy testing for like, hey, we need to put weight on a plane to make sure that it's like, legit weighted wise. They're hooked together with tubes, people. You can see whole entire websites of this. You can see entire websites of stuff like this. Next. You can't make this up. How'd those get there? Is that condensation?
No.
So way up, it's cold. And then you got a hot jet engine spitting out fumes. I get it. So there'd be condensation there. And I remember growing up as a kid watching a plane. And that little trail would disappear as fast as the plane did. This? Do you see a plane in that picture? What I'm asking you to do is believe your senses. Believe your eyes. Believe what you see, not what you're told. That's what I'm asking you to do. Next. Look at that. You'll see this. You'll see them turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. You'll see them go like this. I was going through the Upper Peninsula of Michigan one time, and I saw one. It was just out of control. It looked like the guy was hungover. I couldn't believe it. I could not. I have pictures of it. I couldn't find them for this class. I have pictures of it. Next. Next. So I just wanted to give you some quick pictures so that you have some mass, so that you have some understanding on this. Compare contrails. Okay, contrails. Short for condensation trails. Chemtrails is short for chemical trails. It's simple. But remember, the bad guys call it geoengineering. people like you and me just call it for short chemtrails. They'll also call it stratospheric aerosol geoengineering, meaning it's in the stratosphere, they're spraying aerosol, and they're geoengineering. What does the word geo mean? Earth. What does the word engineering mean? Changing the earth. So stratospheric, way up high, aerosol, like a Lysol can, geoengineering. They'll call it SAG, stratospheric aerosol geoengineering. You and I, we call it chemtrails, but we get labeled conspiracy theory, even though we have the patents and we know it's right there, right? So short-term vaporized, crystallized moisture from hot jet engines versus long-term billowing white smoke crisscrossing the skies. Not commercial jet cruising altitude, not following normal flight patterns. See how this is dissipating right here?
Yeah.
It's going away. It's gone. See how this stays? There's no plane. You can't make this crap up. There's no plane. That's how stupid they think you are. It's unbelievable. So, contrails versus chemtrails. And on that note, oh, here's another one.
Yeah.
See how it disappears? It's gone.
Sure.
It's no longer there. Persistent contrail? So what happened? It's the same temperature. They're practically the same height. Why is one laying down stripes and one is not? You'll see this. If you start looking up, you start being aware of your surroundings, you start not poisoning yourself and not paying demon-worshipping pharmaceutical corporations to poison you and make you infertile and dumb. If you wake up and look up, you will see this. And you will be forced to confront it. And you'll go, wait a minute. Why would they do this? Well, we're answering that question. But the bigger question is who's doing it? We'll get to that. Commercial break right now. Come on up, Amanda. Spit some fire on these commercial breaks.
All right.
Yeehaw. Woo!
All right, so this one says, I came to Dr. Brett with skin issues, presumably shingles. After I did a foot detox and 24 hours on supplements, I had decreased itching and redness. After just 3 days on the supplements, over the following 2 weeks, my skin totally cleared. I am feeling much better and excited to continue this journey of learning and feeling great.
Wow. What do you mean? We're not a dermatology office. How can you possibly? You're a chiropractor. You're a fake doctor. You're a fake doctor. How can you? You're not treating dermatology issues. Yeah, we are. We're making it so they don't have the dermatology issues. Where are your reviews, Mr. Real Doctor? Let me see them. I got a whole wall of them out here. Let's talk. Let's compare notes. Let's check this out. The eyes are useless when the mind is blind. That's why I'm wanting you to understand what you're seeing. When you see your friend at work that sends you a video of 100 FIFA soccer players that have died in the last 6 months on the field, how do you explain that away? What'd they do? What did they all do in the last year, right? So use your eyes, use your senses. Next. That is the best meme. Can everybody see that? Media, Epstein trial. Epstein trial, Omicron variant. That is one of the greatest memes. Okay, nobody cares. And next. It's one of the greatest. So here's one. The term used to discredit someone who speaks about things you can't bear to look at, because if it were true, it would reveal a darkness in the world that you're simply not ready to accept.
Amen.
That's how they discredit you. They just call you stupid names that don't mean anything. They yell and just, oh, that's so stupid. That's just a conspiracy theory. No, it's not. You just haven't looked into it because you're afraid of it. I remember when I was first told about it, I didn't believe it. Who's going to spend all that money to poison people? Wait a minute. It took me that. I went home, looked into it, back before, this was 15 years ago, before everything was censored. Didn't take long. Next. Didn't take long. Me trying to find my 14th booster pass for the Omicron variant so I can buy a sandwich, 2025, colorized. That's hilarious. George Costanza. Okay, here's a video I want you to see. First of all, I got to give props to Randy Tent. Does anybody in this room know who this dude is? He's a grizzled veteran. He's been doing chiropractic nutrition for like 35 years. He's about up to here though, because he hates dealing with the stupidity. of what's going on in the world. So one of my mentors, good guy, he's a Michigan guy, hockey player. I mean, he just doesn't take crap from anybody. You'll hear it in his voice. He'll be commenting over some of this. Reason I'm showing this is because, oh, and what happened to do we have the geoengineering thing? The watch thing? Okay, yeah. Let's go back to that. So I'm going to show you this video here in a minute, but he's got a practice in Michigan that's very interesting. I could not find the videos anymore that he referenced in this video. It's good that but the video we're about to show, I could not find them, so I had to steal it out of one of his videos. So that's why I wanted to give him props. Here's what you need to do. Here's your second homework assignment. If you have any questions, we are not going to answer all of them tonight. But here is the baddest resource in the world. Go check it out before this gets pulled off the domain name server list by the UN. Geoengineeringwatch.org is the website. Dane Wigington is the dude as far as conglomerating all of the documents, the patents, all the resources, the tests, spray jets, HARP data, we'll talk about that, DVDs, books. I mean, this is the mother lode. I'm not going to prove squat to you tonight. I'm going to direct you to resources so you can prove squat to yourself. But if you go look at all of this stuff here, engineered droughts, health, jet spraying, GeoWatch radio, global meltdown, coming collapse. It's all audio, video, legal action, all the recent stuff. I mean, look at this. Oh, and look over here. How many visitors? 39 million. Not even a drop in the bucket. Not even a drop in the bucket. How many people know about this stuff? This is the baddest website in the world as far as proof goes with chemtrails, with interviews from U.S. Air Force pilots that came out. I mean, it's unbelievable. And people still don't believe it, and the website only has 39 million visits. It's crazy. There's whole entire conferences about it. Geoengineering, answers to the most commonly asked questions. I'm going to point you in the right direction, let you do your homework. This is your homework, geoengineeringwatch.org. Go check it out before it goes bye-bye, okay? So let's check out this video. What I'm saying is trust your senses. What I'm saying is, what do you see in the skies? What I'm saying is this. Most people are unaware by choice. But however, if you are aware of this, you will start seeing chemtrails in the commercials. You'll start seeing them in your kids' cartoons. You'll start seeing them in films and TV. You'll start seeing them in commercials. You'll start seeing them everywhere. Why would that be? Make it look normal. To normalize it for everybody. So they just think, oh, those are pretty clouds.
Yeah, just straight ones.
They don't compare to God's clouds. They don't compare. So what were the clouds like when you were younger compared to how they are now? Have you ever noticed? I mean, I grew up in Michigan and I noticed a difference. And Michigan is the land of gray, cold skies for 9 months out of the year. But I noticed. Then when I moved to Florida, I was in Florida for 5 years. I've lived all over the United States. I was in Florida for 5 years. I started wondering, like, why is it every time, and I lived in Daytona because that's where I went to school for my grad school. So of course, what's in Daytona every year? Races. Lots of races. I never went to one in the 5 years I was there. Not a big fan. However, turn left, turn left, turn left. You got it. So whenever there was a race day, I would notice there were just checkerboards in the sky. I'd go to Universal. I'd go to Disney. They're checkerboards in the sky. I'd go to the beach. Checkerboards in the sky. Why? It's where the population is. You drive out in the boonies, you don't see these. Dr. Randy Tent is a great guy. This video, I'm using this simply because I could not find the video that he references here. I wanted you to see it and hear his commentary. We ready to go on this? Got it? Fabulous. Let's go. Check this out.
Could a strange substance found by a southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention. Well, tonight, KSLA News 12 investigation reporter Jeff Farrell shows us the results of testing we had done about what's in our skies.
It seemed like some mornings it was just crisscrossing the whole sky. It was just like a giant checkerboard.
Bill Nichols snapped several photos of the strange clouds from his home in Stamps, Arkansas. They begin as normal contrails from a jet engine, but do not fade away like a normal contrail. Soon after, he saw particles in the air.
You know, because we'd see it drop to the ground in a haze.
Nichols then noticed the material collecting on the ground.
This is water and stuff that I collected in bowls. I had it set out in my backyard on my dad's pickup truck.
KSLA News 12 had the sample tested at a lab. The results? A high level of barium, 6.8 parts per million, more than 3 times the toxic level set by the EPA.
68.8.
Armed with these lab results about the high levels of barium found in our sample, we decided to contact the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. They told us that yes, these levels are very unusual, but at the same time they added the caveat that proving the source is a whole nother matter. Barium is a hallmark of other chemtrail testing, which even attracted attention from a Los Angeles TV station. There's already no shortage of unclassified weather modification programs by the government. But those who fear chemtrails could be secret biological or chemical testing on the public point to the 1977 Senate hearings in particular, which confirmed 239 populated areas had been contaminated with biological agents between 1949 and 1969. Later, the 1994 Rockefeller Report concluded hundreds of thousands of military personnel were also subjected to secret biological experiments over the last 60 years. But could secret testing be underway yet again?
I'd rather it be something inert and benign, you know, something that's, you know, not causing any damage, but I'd like to know what it is.
KSLA News 12 discovered chemtrails are even mentioned by name in the initial draft of House Bill 2977 back in 2001 under the Space Preservation Act. But the military denies any such program exists. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12 reporting.
And, you know, it turns out until 9 years ago, the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions. Only a public outcry repealed part of that law with some exceptions.
Now, Jeff's report mentioned high levels of barium linked to those alleged chemtrails. We wanted to find out exactly what effects barium has on the body. We spoke with Mark Ryan, the director of the Poison Control Center. Ryan tells KSLA News 12 that short-term exposure can lead to anything from stomach to chest pains. Long-term exposure causes blood pressure problems. Ryan addressed concerns by chemtrail researchers that barium could be meant to wear down a person's immune system.
Anything that causes ill effects in the body long-term chronically is going to affect your ability because it's constantly working on the body. So from that aspect, yeah, that's a potential.
Ryan says he's conducted research on his own about secret government testing on the public, but he's still a bit skeptical about the alleged chemtrails, at least at the moment, because the Poison Control Center has seen no calls about exposure to barium.
I wanted to share that with you because I couldn't find that video online anymore, but I knew it was in this video. How did I know that? Because I took notes. So this video here shows you meteorologists, news reporters are spelling it out. They take the sample, the barium, which is only one thing that they found, one chemical that they found, right?
But there was arsenic.
Huh?
But there was arsenic.
And arsenic, right? And aluminum and strontium and all this other stuff that makes up everything from fireworks to plastic to you name it, right? But then they take the poison control guy says, yeah, barium can mess you up, right? Where do you get barium? And how do you load it on a plane and spray it? How much does that cost to acquire it? Who's paying for this? You are.
Yep.
You are. If you didn't notice, how many millions of people were exposed to government experiments on humans without their knowledge? Now they're doing it with your consent. Jesus. Here's another video I wanted to show you. That one was just like 4 minutes long. I want to show you this one. It's about 9, but you need to see this. This is the crux of everything, okay? And there's the man himself. I mean, he's just a baller. He's an original gangster. He's about this close to throwing in the towel because he's so over what's happening with people right now. But he references a video in here I could not find anywhere else. Roll it. Let's check this out.
This fungus is, first, if you want to look at it, it's airborne. It's not a single fiber here and there. It is glowing under UV light. So if you take a UV lamp at night,
This is at night.
you can see those
It's a dry
fibers
particle
airborne.
storm.
And there are billions of them. Not every night, but every now and then. You can see them fly around. And these fibers, this fungus, is infecting the human body. And with 95% or 99% of the people, nothing special happens. They're just embedded somewhere, and your biology is keeping the fungus population low in your body. They just function as a plasmonic antenna to send out a signal.
Stop.
But you don't get sick from it. You don't.
Did you catch what he said? You're becoming a plasmonic antenna. A plasmonic antenna. Listen to that. Keep going.
Get ill. No visible symptoms. So we would guess 100% of the population in Europe is infected. It's not a big deal. It's not dangerous, as long as the body can handle these things. Some of the people cannot handle it. And then the mycelium is starting to grow within the body and starting to multiply. And at a certain point, they are extracted via the skin. And you can see that they have these ability.
That's what they're coming in with, and I see this.
To collect colors. You have blue morgellons and you have red morgellons. And nobody knows where these colors come from because they are of technical origin. It's not a natural substance. So you can see them when the skin is opening. You can see them under the microscope if you make a blood analysis.
In the office.
You can see that the blood is infected. And you can let them grow artificially in a petri dish. And if you look at them, you see they're a little bit more complex than a simple fungus. They have kind of organs inside.
They're growing.
They have
There's little parts
little
in
red
them.
stem cells of
Organs
an unknown
in them and
species
stuff.
that are self-replicating as well. And apparently they produce other structure. This looks like a sporing body. It's like the unit where the mycelium at a certain point is forming a mushroom, a fruiting body. And then from the fruiting body you would expect the spores for the next generation, if this is a mushroom, if this is a fungus.
It grows.
So this seems to be the containment for the spores, because if you put this into the petri dish, you can see the next generation growing.
Bland. This is what's being rained on us. Smart dust.
Hear this. This is a Rutgers University scientist, J. Storrs Hall, okay? He's saying it's interconnected, interconnected, atmospherically buoyant, and having navigation capability in 3 dimensions on the X, Y, Z axis. Clouds of microscopic computer particles communicating with each other, and with a control system could provide tremendous capability. It's potentially relatively inexpensive to do, about the same price per pound as potatoes. What would be the control system? 5G. Go ahead and play.
Nanodust. Quantum dots.
Because nanoparticulates are potentially self-replicating, the cost of producing them is actually quite negligible. As for the question as to why the perpetrators would be spraying themselves, well, that answer is in fact a very simple one. These people want transhumanism. In fact, when one truly considers the transhumanist agenda and it begins to sink in that chemtrails seem to consist of nanoparticulates or smart dust, then the last piece of the puzzle falls snugly into place. And it is far from inconceivable that were the global population to be infused with programmable nanoparticulates, then when these tiny machines are switched on, they will simply do what they are programmed to do. and that what this may be may also be largely due to what other genetic codes have first been introduced into the host.
Smart dust. Smart dust.
0.15 by 0.15 millimeter. It's 1500ths of a millimeter. A millimeter is as close as you can get your fingers together without touching. 1500ths of that by 1500ths. Little tiny things that looks like a speck of dust on your finger. They measure 15 by 15, 0.15 by 0.15 millimeters each, and have GPS capabilities, sometimes called smart dust, as they can be sprayed on us and absorbed or taken in foods, drinks, and even what? Injected. Go ahead. I wanted to read that for people in the
Letting
back.
you find some of these things yourself. As you start wandering into these topics, programmable dust, computer dust that might do things with that. You're a plasmonic antenna. Antennas send and receive things. You're being set up to send and receive things. They're 40 years ahead of you. So the Christian folks that think they're going to stick a chip inside of you, don't wait for the chip. They're already manipulating us. Smart dust. Our memories,
Sensing, computing, and communication, and power source in a cubic millimeter. Want to know what the cats at UC Berkeley have been doing for decades? Those Luciferians? This. Small devices that can collect information from an onboard sensor and transmit it over a wireless network that automatically sets itself up, also called modes. Possible sensors include temperature, relative humidity, illumination, acceleration, magnetic field, pressure, chemical, vapors, camera, microphone. These modes have memories, microprocessor, radio receiver, and transmitter. They got them in your blood now, people. And everybody's signing up for nanobots because they think nanotechnology is like the future. Oh, we designed these nanobots to be able to disperse medicine to your organs for life-saving procedures. Who's controlling the damn nanobots? And what kind of medicines? Right. This is Nephilim technology here, folks. This is crazy stuff. You don't believe that? Honey. We're in the last book of the whole book. We're on the last few pages. You better get with the program because you will make a choice either by force or by choice. You will make a choice of what side of this you're going to be on. So I wanted to read that to you. Go ahead.
Processors, radio receivers, and transmitters. Smart dust. We're inhaling and swallowing smart dust. Programmable matter. What's programmable matter? Figure it out. You ain't going to figure it out because we're not going to figure it out because it's people doing this that have really crummy things in mind for our future. Programmable, growing things, inanimate things that grow. This is the last clip. We're just about done.
If you look at the things the vaccination is containing, starting with mercury, this is pure poison. Starting with chelates that pull out copper from your body.
I don't know what that word he said was. This is
you
important.
start realizing that there's a plan behind it. And if you look at this, you
That's
can
your
find
patents.
all the things connected to the Morgellons disease. You find like large area self-assembled plasmonic photonic crystals. If you go into this publication, you find these hexagonal forms. And if you look for the function, actually this is a thing that is collecting a radio signal and turning the radio frequency into DNA readable light impulses within the body. So this is the reading unit. If you look down there, you have photonic crystal fibers. If you look what they do, it's normally they talk about carbon nanotubes filled with these colors, with these quantum dot chemistry. And the function is to collect light processed by the DNA and turn it into a readable signal.
This is
exactly
huge.
what Cara St. Louis described in her novel. Now there are a few more aspects of this Morgellon disease that are a little bit strange. Morgellon victims have this sensation of insects crawling through their body. It's sometimes the disease is called delusional parasitosis. And the doctors say this is pure madness. And normally what they give is psychopharmaca. I guess to get the people quiet.
You can see the stuff inside of us. Programmable humans. So if you get enough of this stuff in that, you can actually control this from radio signals. You're being turned into an antenna. And now, in this last couple of comments, my mother got into health a long time ago. And to look at my mother, if I had her come up here, my mother jumped into this when I was probably 13. I got sick of the pediatrician. My mother was stiff as a board. To try to adjust my mother was practically impossible, because if she went to the health food store and she took a ton of calcium, the calcium that she took, she couldn't even digest any of it. So the oyster shell, the dolomite, the egg shell, my mother's health was compromised because of taking synthetic insoluble minerals. We don't understand all this food thing. So I've watched many women shorten their lives taking calcium. Mercola talks about this. You got to take food. You can't take synthetic stuff. Read the label. Everything in this office is food. I want food labels. Because my mother lost her health early, and I know she was frozen. I didn't really understand most people are not taking food minerals. It's going to come back to cost you.
I'm not the only crazy person out there telling people to eat food. That had nothing to do with the topic at hand. I just wanted you all to hear it. So he was saying, what do you think is in the drugs? If it's in the air, do you think some of this is in the drugs? I'll prove it to you. I have video. I'll show you. I'll show you it's in the drugs. They're already wanting to put this in the drugs for Medicare patients to make sure that Medicare patients are killing themselves properly. So they want to make sure that the older folks are taking all the drugs. So the best way to do it was nanotechnology, smart dust. So they give them drugs so that then they can monitor the poisoning in their blood if it's going at the right speed, if they're killing themselves appropriately. So if they're putting it in the drugs, are they putting it in the synthetic supplements? You bet your bottom dollar, brother. You bet. Are they putting it in the cosmetics? See, the technology, they're way ahead. Only deviant, satanic people think of how to kill humans. Okay? So I wanted you to get that. So, questions to ask yourself. We're almost done. How long has this been going on? Well, you heard in the previous video that back in the 40s and 50s, there were experiments dumping chemicals on people, right? Nanofibers, you heard the guy say, nanofibers have infected all European population. Those fungal nanofibers that you saw growing off the tomato at the very first, in the very first frames of that first video, that's what he's talking about. Transhumanist agenda is upon us. If you want to hear kind of what we've talked about here and plans on future classes, there is a class that we did two of them. Two WellWorks classes called Artificial versus Natural. We did part 1 and part 2. We spelled out the transhumanist agenda, showed you Agenda 2030, showed you the whole thing. Here's what Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink, all of that crap. If you want the links to that class, let Nadia know, because you're never going to hear this anywhere else. I promise you. You're never going to hear. We showed you websites out there where people are talking about getting rid of people. People. Because see, they don't think they're people, they think they're gods. I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's hard to believe, but it's out there. Morgellons disease, they called it the delusional parasitosis. If you look that up, go to Google and look that up. That's your homework. Go look up Morgellons disease. It's called MORGELLON''S. And if you just type this, we saw this. I showed the girls the other day. What was that? Was that a Google search I did? DuckDuckGo. I think it's even on DuckDuckGo. You pull up the first page, and it says Morgellons disease is a, how did they say it? Is a medically unsubstantiated condition in which people feel like they have insects in their body, and they purport to claim that there are microscopic nanofiber multicolored threads coming out of their skin. So they even tell you that it's medically unsubstantiated, but then if you click on images, you'll see entire websites devoted only to that disease, where people have green, red, blue. What are those colors? Green, red, and blue? Light. primary colors of light waves. See, in pigment, thank you, Jane, Miss Artist. In pigment, it's red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors. But on your TV on the back, they're RGB inputs, means red, green, blue. So in light, your primary colors are not red, blue, yellow, they're red, green, blue. So when you see these pigments, these fibers coming out of people, it's interesting. They're the primary colors of light, which, you heard him say, DNA is a send and receive. You can send and receive light. You can send and receive DNA. Why do you think they're trying to change your DNA with the mRNA? Oh my God, it's crazy. So Morgellons disease, they call it delusional parasitosis because you think you've got a parasite crawling around in your body. Kind of matrixy, isn't it? Then they put you on psych meds and drug you out of your mind. What do you think's in the psych meds? More nanotech. Isn't that wonderful? Smart dust, food, drinks, injections. You're a plasmonic antenna to send and receive. The fungal fibers, we talked about all that. 5G will control the quantum nanoparticle technology. It's in the patents, by the way. You think I'm crazy? It's in the patents. And you will awaken one day, and you will have, after you've made a choice to get your second booster and your third booster and your fourth booster, if it's a self-assembling nanoparticle, perhaps, I'm just saying, I don't know this for sure, but if it's a self-assembling nanoparticle thing, and you make choice after choice after choice after choice, that government's your God, and that, you know, your job is your God, and your paycheck is your God, and you can't lose your job, and you can't lose your paycheck, and you make choice after choice after choice, and you wake up one morning, and the self-assembly nanoparticle has all of a sudden assembled something on the back of your right hand or the middle of your forehead. Guess what you just walked into? Commercial break.
How do you follow that?
Put your hands in the air.
All right. So this one kind of piggybacks off of the allergy one from earlier. This patient said, I have always had seasonal sinus and allergy issues, which would require antibiotics and me being in bed for 5 to 7 days. I started coming to Divine Design and have had only a few flare-ups, but during those I was able to function and only laid around the house one day. I also noticed that with increased supplements, the symptoms actually went away.
I don't know if you even planned it, but we didn't plan on having just all kinds of skin and allergy testimonials. Crazy. That's just ones we grabbed. Okay. But we have been seeing a lot of crazy skin stuff, you know. Not saying it's all this crap, but you're going to see more and more. How would a dermatologist treat all of this?
Chemicals, medicine.
Drugs or surgery? Drugs. Drugs, or how does every medical doctor have to treat by law everything they see? Drugs and surgery. By law. Well, yeah, but my doctor sent me for an MRI, which will lead to a
Surgery or drugs.
Well, yeah, but my doctor wants to do a colonoscopy, which will lead to a
Drugs and surgery.
Do you see the pattern? By law, by license, they are never going to do anything but drugs and surgery. By law, they can't. It's impossible. Your doctor, get over it, is never going to introduce you to an herbal therapy. Get over it. So if you go to a dermatologist, it's going to be a drug or a surgery. They're going to cut it out, or they're going to drug you. And if you don't want to be cut or drugged, guess what? Get rid of your insurance. Save a buttload of money. Come here. I will help you. It's easy. Now, check this out. Nice day. I think I'll sit outside. 30 minutes later. Yeah, that's right. That's the progression. That's right. That's the progression. You think I'm full of crap? That's it. Just observe. Get your head out of your screen and look up. I talked to somebody today. It's hilarious. She's hilarious. She cracks me up all. She's just hilarious. One great patient. I know she's going to watch this. She said, "I never look up at the sky." I said, "Well, how do you answer that? You never." It's hilarious. You got to start looking up at the sky, darling. Okay, yeah, I will. I love her. She's hilarious. But you'll never notice it if you don't look. That's right. Next. Government is spraying chemtrails on the government so they can control the government. Oh, God, you can't make this up. Conspiracy theory. The insane notion that sometimes powerful people work together in secret to advance political agendas that will increase their wealth and power. also known as?
Reality.
I love that one. Was there a conspiracy in the Garden of Gethsemane?
Yes.
Was there a conspiracy with Joseph and his brothers?
Yes.
Was there a conspiracy of King Saul against King David?
Yes.
Was there a conspiracy of Haman versus Esther? Was there a conspiracy of, the whole world entirely against the nation of Israel forever? Was there a conspiracy with Jacob versus Esau? Was there a conspiracy with, Hagar and Ishmael against Abraham and Sarah? Always has been, always will be. Welcome to the Middle East struggle. Was there a conspiracy in the Garden of Eden? Then why do you have a problem understanding that the same thing has continued since day one? Get over it and stop listening to them belittle you for having a brain. Yes, I can see the test results here. The vaccine is safe and effective. Remember when mandatory vaccinations, cashless society, facial recognition, digital tracking, mass censorship, microchips, and 5G infrastructure construction used to be a conspiracy theory only 6 months ago? Yeah, me too. But no, I've been preaching this crap for years. But it finally took something this evil for people to wake up and go, the medical industry is trying to kill me. And you know who figured it out fastest? The nurses.
Yes.
Your insurance, you are sick because you have a good insurance policy. The sickest people I see have the best insurance because the best insurance will pay you to die faster.
Get rid of them.
Is it true or is it true?
It's true.
Yes.
Your insurance policy is why you're sick. You got the job out of college because you wanted the golden handcuffs. I get it. I did the same thing. We all got tricked. You got the job out of college thinking, well, I'm 24 years, I need insurance in case I, car accident, forgetting that I had car insurance, right? Like we all do. But then you realize I don't use this stuff and they're taking it out of my paycheck. But if I come to you and I ask you, how much do you pay for insurance? Well, no, I don't pay for any of it. Now, how much do you pay for insurance? I don't pay for insurance. Does it come out of your paycheck? Yeah, it comes out of my paycheck. Then you pay for the damn insurance. See? They got you. Crazy how many people think that they don't pay for their insurance. But let me explain it to you. You do pay to be poisoned. You pay a nefarious company to poison you. Hold questions for me. Next. Hey kids, only 3 more variants until Christmas. You notice the Ghislaine Maxwell thing? the Indiana Jones deal earlier? The Ghislaine Maxwell deal was going on the block in the courtroom 2 days after they dropped the Omicron variant in the news.
Yep. Isn't that interesting?
If you don't know who Ghislaine Maxwell is and the Jeffrey Epstein thing, honey, you need to wake up. You got to understand. Massive news. And every politician you know was on those planes.
Yeah, amen. Yep.
Geoengineering. That's supposed to say AKA. Stratospheric aerosol geoengineering evidence. Actually, no. This is going to be a minute. Let's do your question. Roger.
I don't have a question. I have a comment.
Comment.
I knew a friend, well, he's my dentist back in Missouri where he moved from, and his son went to medical school. And just before they got out of medical school, they were all brought in, all in his class, and one of the professors told them, when all you future doctors get out on your practice, this is what he said, you write your patient, you write them a prescription, whether they need it or not.
Yeah.
And my friends are good. He's a believer in the Lord. So there's no way I'll ever do that. But that's what they said. You write them a prescription, even if they don't need one, just write them.
Even if they don't need a prescription. Kids graduating from medical school, dude comes and says, even if they don't need a prescription, write one. What else can they do? I'm not surprised by that, of course. You know what else they tell doctors? If the patient gets better without taking the drugs, just tell them, I don't know what you're doing, but just keep doing it. I have heard that so many times. I want to know the dude that walks into a matriculating class and says, all right, here kids, because you're going to meet somebody who gets better without your crazy, quacky, voodoo, black magic drugs. If this happens, here's what you say. I want to see the dude that says that. So here's what we can gather from everything I've taught you tonight. Deliberate, large-scale intervention in the manipulation of weather patterns. That is straight from Wikipedia. What is geoengineering? International scientists, engineers, journalists have spoken widely about controlling weather in order to curb the threat of global warming. This is a worldwide phenomenon. However, I have never heard of this happening in China or Russia. I could be wrong, but it's pretty much worldwide. You'll see it on island countries. You'll see it in Central America, South America. First ones who noticed it predicted that once it was discovered, those doing it would say it was for the greater good. Were they right? They'd say, we're stopping global warming for your own good, or it's mass vaccination for your own good, right? Remember DDT spraying for polio back in the day? They weren't spraying for polio. The DDT spraying was what made the people sick. We won't get into that right now. I teach a whole class on that. Meteorologists openly admit and report about it, as we saw from the Randy Tent video, homage to him. Dumping of aluminum, barium, strontium, plastics, and paper have been documented, while you are made deathly afraid of carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
This is paid for by your tax dollars. Once again, this is all the review stuff we're going through. Damaging effects of environmental aluminum are documented around the world in rain, snow, soil. There's nothing more toxic to human tissue. I should say living tissue. There's nothing more toxic to life than aluminum. Nothing in this world that's more toxic to life than aluminum. Understand that. Good gardens need pH of 6 to 6.5. Soils are going basic. Small microscopic macropods are slowly going away because the soil's getting too acidic, right? Material on the ground matches the vapors in the sky, which match the patents used to spray it. All your friends will say, oh, I don't believe this, right? What? What? Aluminum oxide forms plaque in arteries and shuts down life. Remember how the dude was saying, hey, if you dump this stuff, it's going to cause what? High blood pressure. Oh my God. These oxides get stuck in tissues and do not leave binding sites. Aluminum oxides are very toxic neurological poisons. Aluminum in the brain, what do they call it? Alzheimer's. Ding, ding, ding. Yep.
Main ingredient in vaccines.
Yeah. Oh, and say what?
One of the main ingredients.
One of the main ingredients in the vaccines, aluminum.
All vaccines.
Why do you think everybody's getting
Mercury.
mercury and mercury? Why is everybody getting dementia? Where'd dementia come from? Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, where'd it come from? Forest fires are more plentiful than ever due to aluminum dust because those pesky forest fires last year didn't have Canadian passports, remember? Organic farms in Hawaii are asking for GMO papaya because they can't grow their own plants. So they're begging for it. So remember, you make a problem, you present, here's the reaction, and then you present the solution that you created to fix the problem that you made. Only demented, demon-possessed deviants would think this out. Nighttime visibility of stars is often non-existent, but guess what, folks? They spray at night, too. I didn't used to see this years ago, but now you go out sometimes and you look for it, and you will see them spraying at night. These people are playing God with trees, plants, oceans, and rivers. Is anyone surprised? Kids with hair samples are testing high aluminum, even if they didn't have vaccines. Interesting. GMO seeds are engineered to resist aluminum in soil. Farmers will eventually bow to Monsanto. It's already happening. Farmers mowing down their crops because they won't get government subsidies. So they're mowing down their own crops. You think there's going to be a food shortage? HARP has a part to play. We won't get into it. It's a thing up in Alaska where they pump energy that you pay for because it's a military thing into the ionosphere to manipulate weather. Yep. They tell you it's closed down. HARP, look it up. High altitude atmospheric radiation pulse or something, research project, something. Yes. A U.S. Air Force government document entitled Owning the Weather. You can search for this. You can still find it. Outlines many methods of weather modification for military operations. Everything from creating floods, wiping out all kinds of ways to do military operations. It's crazy. Here is a video I want you to see. Title of this is Why Bill Gates is Funding Solar Geoengineering Research. And if you remember from way back, I think when we did Shoppocalypse, I've shown this video, not this one, but the Bill Gates video where he's talking at a TED Talk and he admits he wants the population reduced. To take down the CO2, you have to get rid of the emissions or the people. Remember? I've shown this video half a dozen times in classes. People still don't believe it. It's Bill Gates at a TED Talk in front of people. And people are cheering. They're like, yes, let's reduce the people. It's nuts. But he says, if we do a really good job with three things, we can crush the population. He says, three things. He says, if we do a really good job with vaccines, what's the other stuff? Healthcare and family planning. Which is another way of saying what? Infanticide. If we do a really good job of those three things, we can reduce the population by 15%. Crazy. Check this out. Here's your friend Bill Gates. So we're just going to do the first 6 minutes of this. Then we're pretty much out of here.
The record number of fires burning across Brazil's Amazon rainforest has prompted renewed global outcry over climate change. And big spending. $5 million from Leonardo DiCaprio, £10 million from the UK. Meanwhile, Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial.
How long will it be that countries keep experiencing these climate impacts before someone gets desperate and says, hey, we need to cool the planet with solar geoengineering?
It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth. Back in 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines. It was the largest eruption to affect a densely populated area, creating avalanches and giant mud flows that left more than 700 dead and 30,000 homeless. It also spewed a cloud of 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide particles into the stratosphere. That chemical cloud was hundreds of miles across and reflected about 2% of sunlight back to space. And in 1992, the Earth was cooler than in 1991.
That is part of the mechanism, but you do this in a controlled way.
Modeling studies have found that it could reduce the intensity of heat waves, for instance. Apparently it could reduce the rate of sea level rise. It could reduce the intensity of tropical storms.
But it also comes with significant risks and uncertainties.
Things like mass famine, mass flooding, drought, of kinds that will affect very large populations.
It could weaken monsoons in India, China, and Africa enough to affect crops. It could eradicate blue sky.
You start increasing the amount of diffuse light and you have less direct light, which is the same thing as saying it looks hazy and white.
And if the global community decides it should stop?
So you stop injecting it, and after a year, the cloud is gone, and you get this rapid warming at a rate much faster than you would get if we had done nothing. If you've taken out the greenhouse gases that are adding to the warming, then the temperature won't go up, it'll stay what it is. So if we don't stop emitting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, we don't try as hard as we can to do that, then there's no point in doing solar geoengineering.
A 2016 opinion poll conducted by the Harvard group doing solar geoengineering research found that 67% of subjects support its use. One reason this technology is appealing, it's cheap. One study estimates it would cost an average of $2.25 billion globally every year for the first 15 years of deployment. Compare that to the $500 billion the U.S. government estimates it will cost just the U.S. by 2100 if no action is taken against climate change. Or the $1.6 to $3.8 trillion projected global spending by 2050 on low-carbon energy production. You can also compare it to direct air carbon capturing, another climate change solution backed by Bill Gates and by big oil. It involves sucking billions of tons of carbon out of the air. And at $100 to $200 a ton, it could be big business. Solar geoengineering, on the other hand, is so cheap that nobody currently stands to make money from the process.
But just because a solution is cheap doesn't make it a good one. It's cheap and dangerous.
It doesn't require a lot of materials. It doesn't require a big innovation. It basically affects the whole planet with one project. So that is not necessarily a situation that has a lot of profit opportunity, right? Because there's not going to be a lot of different people that can do it and compete in a marketplace.
Bill Gates is among a dozen individual donors and 14 foundations backing the first stratospheric solar geoengineering experiment out of Harvard. It's called Stratospheric Controlled Perturbation Experiment, or SCOPEX. A high-altitude balloon will lift instruments about 20 kilometers into the stratosphere, where it will release less than 2 kilograms of different naturally occurring chemicals, like calcium carbonate and sulfates, and then measure the change in atmospheric chemistry and light scattering. The Harvard group that runs SCOPEX and other experiments has raised more than $16 million, more than double any other solar geoengineering effort. And annual global funding has gone up from $1 million in 2008 to $8 million in 2018, with the majority of that funding coming from the U.S. The first phase of SCOPEX will cost around $3 million, with much more needed for wider research on solar geoengineering. To this point, stratosphere injections have only been tested with climate modeling. In the UK, a government-funded solar radiation management test called SPICE was cancelled in 2012 because of issues with patents.
And we're not trying to develop any technology that is patented or where we want to make money with this later on.
A study last year found that no existing aircraft can inject the stratosphere at a high enough altitude, but developing a new high-altitude tanker would not be technologically difficult or prohibitively expensive. Nozzles still need to be designed that can continuously blast out trillions of particles, and scientists still need to decide what chemicals those particles should be made of. But unlike cloud brightening, which is another solar reflection technique, the tech needed for stratospheric injections is not far off.
The technology is not the main thing that's holding this back. The main thing that's holding it back is the uncertainty about what the exact effects would be and the positives and negatives of its effects, and the governance and decision-making process for implementing it.
Other radical attempts to control climate change have been tested in the past, like when one California businessman dumped 100 tons of iron dust in the Pacific to spawn the growth of carbon-absorbing plankton. But unlike small, sometimes rogue experiments, planet-wide solar geoengineering will require buy-in from the international community.
You know, in our simulations we found China got warmer and drier relative to the past when you stabilized global temperature, and India was now cooler and wetter. So you can see there how, you know, international relations around using this technology could become complicated.
I mean, we can't even decide on what to do about emissions of greenhouse gases, and so how are we going to decide on setting the planetary thermostat?
There's the real concern that we won't be able to reach agreement, we being the entire planet. And so there's the prospect that countries just go ahead and do solar geoengineering, and that causes disagreement, conflict, tension, even possibly war.
3 years ago, the international community did come together when almost 200 countries signed the Paris Agreement on climate change, agreeing to limit global temperature rise to less than 2 degrees Celsius. Since then, President Trump has stated his intent to withdraw from the agreement.
The Paris Climate Accord is simply the latest example of Washington entering into an agreement that disadvantages the United States.
And global emissions are not being reduced fast enough to reach these goals.
We know what we should be doing. What we should be doing is reducing carbon emissions. So we're creating a moral hazard. We are providing an out for you where you can say, well, I'm going to fix this technologically instead of doing the ethically right thing to do.
It's way too early to give up on much more ethical approaches to climate change. Right? If future generations were literally in the room to question us on our dubious arguments, we wouldn't get.
Let me get you guys out of here. Terraforming operations. This is another thing you need to know about. This is tied in with chemtrails. Harvesting of CO2 from the atmosphere. Remember, what lives on CO2? Everything. So they're going to pull the carbon out of the air. I'll show you. It's going to alter Earth's ecosystems. It's going to shut down photosynthesis. What happens when you shut down photosynthesis? Make planet uninhabitable to modern humans. Why? Because they're transhumanists. You'll see in a minute. Prepare Earth for post-human colonization. It's going to be marketed as something to save the planet. Terraforming means earth forming. Okay? So let's check out this next slide. We're almost out of here. And remember, there's a difference between CO and CO2, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, right? So this is something we can, you can look up on your own. Heartland Greenway. It's a 1,300-mile long pipeline currently under construction from Iowa to Illinois to carry liquefied CO2 harvested from the atmosphere. This is nuts. This is absolutely out of control. Carbon dioxide will be sequestered underground. Not carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide will be sequestered underground with pipelines. They're going to put a pipeline, they're going to suck the carbon out of the air. It's unbelievable. You can go to this website, heartlandgreenway.com. You can check it out for yourself. It's unbelievable. Go to the About Us section. It'll blow your mind. It will blow your mind. Croplands are being seized by eminent domain, if you didn't know that already. Biggest owner of American farmland. Seizing CO2 so farmers cannot grow food and denying its use to plants. This is unreal. These are Satanists. Remember this. Photosynthesis has 3 inputs. What is it? Grade school biology, right? Hello, sunlight, carbon dioxide, the thing they're making you deathly afraid of, and water. Well, creates plant energy and synthesizes plant phytonutrients. Very powerful stuff. That's why we use herbs and plants and animals in this place like crazy. Plants pull carbon out of the air to form their structures, like leaves and roots. You're not going to have a plant with no carbon. They're pulling plant food out of the air to inhibit the growth. Plants synthesize many molecules into compounds you've heard about. Every vitamin, all your essential oils. Guess what? The plant synthesizes those things out of carbon molecules. Minerals are elements that cannot be created or destroyed, but plants use them. So minerals, think of the stuff on the periodic table, like, like magnesium and calcium and all your minerals, stuff that comes out of the dirt, right? Plants can't synthesize those, but they use them. So the climate change demon worshippers and the global warming Satanists are all at war with all three inputs to photosynthesis. They want to decrease the carbon, right here. They want to decrease the sunlight, and they want to poison the water. We didn't play the last couple minutes of that clip, but it's Bill Gates talking. He wants to block out the sun. You cannot name anything living that is lacking carbon. Microbes, insects, plants, birds, animals, humans. So a war on this right here is a war on you. You are the carbon that they want to reduce. Understand, when you hear climate change or sustainability, they're talking about killing you. So an attack on carbon is an attack on life itself. Melting icebergs will not flood the earth. Ice takes up more room than water. Do this at home. Take an ice cube and melt it and tell me how much room it takes up. Those polar ice caps they're telling you are going to flood. They're going to go in, they're going to flood, and the oceans are going to take over Florida. This is simple high school math, science you can do in your kitchen sink, people. That's how stupid they think we are. Read that again. Melting icebergs will not flood the earth. I don't care what Al Gore tells you. Ice takes up more space than water. Period. Waging a war on carbon, you are a carbon-based life form. It's not green to eliminate carbon, it's black. It's not green, it's death. Has nothing to do with health and safety, just like the vaccines. Has nothing to do with keeping you healthy and safety. Getting rid of carbon is working for Satan. I'll just say it. Next. Oh, commercial break. There we go. And then we're out of here. A couple other things, and then we'll give you the solutions to what we've been talking about. Is everybody getting some stuff out of this? Does this make sense?
Yes. I'm
Commercial
exhausted.
break. I am too. Think about my world. It's unbelievable.
Mine can handle just so.
All right, this one is another skin one as well, actually.
Wow. Good
So it
job.
says, my husband did a cleanse about 5 years ago that didn't completely flush his system of candida and fungus, but actually aggravated it. He began to struggle with rashes and fungal infections. He even went to a dermatologist, but to no avail. The rashes covered his back, torso, groin, neck, and feet.
Crazy.
He used supplements recommended by Dr. Spradlin for 2 weeks and was amazed to find that the rashes healed and disappeared. He was amazed.
Huh. Yay. Take that, dermatologists. But I've already had 4. This one will protect you. Listen, people, it's never going to stop. You bow down to this. I've told you for 2 years. The 14 days to flatten the curve, I told you it was fake. I told you it was stupid. Here, we're 2 years into this. People are taking their boosters. They're taking boosters, and it's never going to end. They're going to roll out another variant, and it's going to be another booster. It's never going to end. There it is. Oh, you don't believe that chemtrails are real? I guess you should know that from looking down at your smartphone all day. They're banking on you staying right here and never looking. Me about to walk into Thanksgiving dinner and talk about PCR tests so I can save a bunch of money on Christmas presents. I didn't think of that one. Yeah. Your conspiracy theories are just that, theories. They're not set in stone. The depopulation agenda is written in the Georgia Guidestones. It's literally set in stone. It is set in stone. If you don't know what the Georgia Guidestones are, 2.5 hours away, you need to look that up. Homework, Georgia Guidestones. Look into it. And they will not say it's a conspiracy theory because it's a damn monument written in 9 languages in the middle of a cornfield in Georgia. Nobody can explain that away. Look, the Omicron variant. See? Nobody cares. Love it. Next. Hey, girl, your last name must be Pfizer because you just made my heart stop. You're largely made of air and carbon that has been recycled. This is the cycle of life. You have atoms of carbon that likely were once in Christ. How crazy is that to think of? Isn't that just sobering to think of? Everything's been recycled. You are not, your cells, your carbon goes elsewhere, right? Because ashes to ashes, dust to dust. What is dust? Carbon. You are a carbon-based life form. You are made of plants and other animals. So when I tell you that we're going to rebuild your organs, we're going to rebuild your knees so you don't need surgery, we're going to rebuild your heart, guess how we're going to do it? Dust of the earth. Because you're dust, and then God, in a couple chapters later, pulled 2 other things out of the dirt. One was called plants, one was called animals. That's the only way you're going to fix the dust of the earth. Synthroid ain't going to do it, honey. Your antifungal cream ain't going to fix that dust of the earth. It's only going to cause problems with the dust of the earth. Plants and animals, you are made of them. I look at you, I see your diet for the last 7 years. That's it. And some of you, your diet is cheap, fast, and easy. Okay, you're supposed to laugh at that. Okay, yeah. They say life is bad because they love death. They hate God's creation. In organic chemistry, carbon is the most versatile, amazing element of them all. It is God's element. The atomic number of carbon is 6. So if you put 3 carbon elements together, what do you have? There are 6 carbons in a ring. So within a carbon element, in a carbon ring, there are 6 carbon atoms. Next. Carbon is the very basis of life on Earth. You cannot get away from it. That's it. A few things I'll talk about here before we go into this. We won't cover this. I know we're running late. NASA, if you still believe that we're living on a spinning blue marble hurtling through space at 66,600 miles per hour, understand me when I tell you that everything you've been taught is fake. If you still believe you're living on a spinning ball, like the CGI in that little video that we saw, if you still believe that, hear this. NASA says Mars can be terraformed by pumping huge amounts of CO2 into the atmosphere. There are articles on this. NASA spending whose tax money? To terraform Mars. In other words, to take the carbon from there and put it from here and put it where? How are we going to get there again? How are we getting to Mars? You can't. It's fake. We did not go to the moon. I won't get into it right now on camera. But NASA, you need to look at who founded NASA, my friends. That'll tell you everything you need to know. They want to turn it into a green planet with grass and trees because they just hate Earth, right? Mars is the god of what? War. Another couple little things here. I've heard scientists say it. I've got the articles that say we could warm up Mars in 100 years if we had enough CO2. So what do you think they're going to do with the CO2 that they're harvesting from the Earth? Keep going. Big tech is censoring those who go against the official narrative of global warming. You already know that, right? Because it's a religion. They want a cold, dead world to decrease food production, limit population. It's labeled as sustainable. Just like you label women's reproductive rights, you label it abortion. But then, well, you can't call it abortion. That's too harsh. We'll call it something else. Well, we've got the pro-lifers. We'll have to call it the opposite of pro-life. What's the opposite of pro-life? Say that again?
Pro-death.
What's the opposite of pro-life? Pro-death. But we can't call it pro-death. So what do we call it? So what do we call it? Pro-choice. But really, pro-choice is pro-what? Huh. Interesting. So we conveniently call things what they're not. So saving the planet is now called depopulation, right? So we revisit this idea. There's a problem, there's a reaction, there's a solution. Climate change, an overpopulated world, we're unable to feed the starving children, poor children in India and Africa, oh, we care about them so much, oh, we got to feed them, we got to feed them. Second thought, let's vaccinate all of them. So that's the problem then the reaction is that the media calls for government intervention and new technology to be able to do all this crap, right? Then the solution is we tax the carbon crap out of you until you die. We feed you fake meat. We track and trace you with 5G technology, all while we're blocking out your sunshine. Perfect. And you'll pay us to do it. Wonderful, isn't it? So, in closing, questions you should now be asking. Why have you never heard of this before? And why aren't they telling you? Number 2, who decides why, how much, and when we're going to block out the sun? What are these chemicals we're going to spray to block out the sun? Because I thought chemtrails were a conspiracy theory, but I just saw a video that we're paying and figuring out how to get bigger nozzles on bigger jets higher up in the sky, right? I thought it was a conspiracy theory. Oh, but who decides how much? What other things is geoengineering responsible for? You know that list at the beginning where I showed you the fires and the floods and the famines and the dead bees and the dead birds? Right? And you saw the video of Morgellons. So these people with things that they say don't exist, right? They're pulling threads out of their bodies, putting them under a microscope and going, this isn't natural. This is nanotechnology. What the hell is this? It's happening all over the world. But what other things are they responsible for? Who knows? Is it tied into the vaccines right now? You bet your bottom dollar. Same people for the vaccines are doing this. Ha ha ha, bingo. Then, who would save the world and tell no one about it? These are questions you need to ask. They're saving the world, trying to save you from global warming, but how many millions and millions and millions of dollars would it take to outfit all the planes, pay the pilots, buy the chemicals, put them in the things, go up, spray it, all the fuel, all that stuff. But you haven't heard a word about it, have you? But they're doing it for your good and spending all this money for you. You better wake up, and you better help other people wake up, because here are the solutions. And once I said, like I said beginning at the beginning, limit your exposure. Like 5G, you are not going to eliminate this one. How do you fix it? Nutrition. You bolster your defenses. God did not strand you on this earth with a bunch of fear to have a scamdemic plopped in your face, created by an atheist in a laboratory. He's given you all the defenses he's ever going to give you. Plants and animals, just like what I showed you. Detox technology. If you don't live near someplace that does foot spa, sauna, pulse, nutrition, laser, all the stuff we do here, honey, we got people driving here from, 12 hours away, coming here from 8 or 10 states, because they don't have anything like this near them. They might go to a chiropractor, they might go to a nutrition place, but they don't, all under one roof. They don't know, so they drive here. Understand your avenues of elimination. What I mean by that, pee, poo, breath, sweat. People say, what about the transmission? What about the vaccine shedding? Here's the deal. You're around vaccinated people, they're going to be shedding. You can't say shed. People will shoot you down because there's no virus in the actual vaccines. Everybody know that? So it's transmitting. Okay, it's not shedding viral particles, but it's transmitting. So, women, if you're sleeping in bed and your husband got the shot, but you didn't, is he transmitting particles to you? Yes. The same way he would transmit particles if you got estrogen cream and you sleep in bed together for 5 years, and then before you know it, your husband's going, hey, my testosterone's low. I wonder why. Well, because you've been getting buttered up next to your wife with the creams. So of course your testosterone's low. You're full of estrogen and you got man boobs. That's right. So does it make sense that people can give off particles? Does that make sense? So if you're around a lot of vaccinated people, guess what? You're sucking up some of the stuff that we're talking about. So that's closing. So there's your solutions. What are the solutions? Same as they always are. Stay healthy. Get in here to a chiropractor or a natural health guy who knows what's going on, can give you nutritional supplements and solutions to be able to guard your body and rebuild your body, and use out there technology like foot spas, saunas, pulses, and adjustments and lasers to be able to boost your body to its utmost healing potential. And if you're not around somebody like that, give us a call. Let us know what we can do for you. Or get your family, get your friends here. We do stuff over the internet with telehealth, and then people come for the nutrition stuff, and then people will come in town to do their visits once every 4, 5, 6 weeks, depending on how long they can stay here, or how many family members they have here, or how many kids they have in college. We've got people that come down and stay here and do once every 4, 5, 6 weeks, and just do their in-person foot spa, sauna, pulse, chiro, and then we do the nutrition over the internet, and we ship stuff right to their door. There's a million different solutions. But if you're here in Cleveland and you're not here, I would highly recommend it. Any questions? Let's get that microphone ready. Any questions on any of this before we shut down the cameras and talk privately? Any questions that we can? Yes, Jane.
Well, just a comment about if they're reducing the sun, has anybody noticed there's been uptick on promotions to go solar?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Yeah. So what's going to happen with all the solar stuff if they're blacking out the sun?
Right.
Interesting, huh?
No heat.
Interesting. Like they're one step ahead.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you think you'll get off grid and do your solar panels and stuff? Well, we'll just block out your sun. No big deal. Yeah, that sucks. But who's and solar, running a house and stuff off solar not very efficient. You can back up your program a little bit with stuff, but it's not at the level where it's affordable and technologically, to really run an entire house off stuff. But yeah, it's already they're ahead. They're ahead. Say what now? Speak up.
The government is promoting in the solar system too.
Oh yeah. The government is promoting. Let's pass that around. Yeah. Who else? Who else has something to? Observations, what you've learned, questions. Italian Stallion.
How do we get around the hot showers that we take every night, where our pores are open and we're being infected with all the poison that they're through the water?
How do you get around?
Yeah. How are we gonna
put a filter on your shower head?
Is that it? Just a filter?
That's the easiest way to do it.
Easiest way.
It's the easiest way.
It'll
Put a
get
filter on your
everything
shower
out.
head. Get a
Because
lot
the
of it out.
water's really we get it. There's no way.
That's the easiest. That's the easiest thing I know. Just put a filter on your shower head.
On that shower head.
$10-20, Home Depot, Lowe's.
And they do
swap
work.
them out
Okay.
every 6 months.
Simple question.
Yep, easy. Questions, thoughts, ideas? Cries of outrage. Okay. All right. There it is.
What do the elites do to protect themselves?
What do the elites do to protect themselves? I don't know. I'm not one. Well, they think they're going to live forever. I don't know. They eat babies.
Yep. Amen.
They eat babies. They drink blood.
What's it?
They
the
think
vaccine,
it's
the
in.
vaccine,
Maybe they're not human.
Some of
the
them aren't.
vaccine, isn't there
They're not fully.
aborted, baby
Dead babies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. So, but they think they're gods. They think they're better. They think they're better than humans. They think they're one step above because they fell for the lie. You shall be like gods, and live forever. Right? They fell for it.
Also remember that whatsoever we bind
Let's-
on earth shall be bound in heaven. We shouldn't. I mean, I believe what you're sharing, and that we should eat right, and we should do the things you're sharing. But we should also not get into fear.
Mhm.
God did not give us a spirit
Not
of
at
fear,
all.
but of power and love and a sound mind.
That's right.
So, and I always think, that. We need to be aware of what's going on and not hide our hands and say, oh, well, whatever, God will take care of it. But we need to really stay in prayer and just like you're saying, study the Word, get the Word of God inside of you. The Holy Spirit, I believe, will lead us and guide us just not get fearful and to take the power that we have in His name to whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. We don't say, oh, well, this all this stuff's happening and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, we need to do a lot of things that you're sharing with, and I'm in agreement in the health, whatever. But also, we need to. God is not going to allow this earth to be destroyed by a bunch of Satanists. I just tell you, that's not. He'll finish His work in righteousness, And so we just need to keep Him as number one, And we need to do these things you're saying. I'm not saying that. I'm really. This is the first time I ever come with this is really good.
Yeah.
I really learned a lot.
Good.
But we also need not to get in fear.
Yeah. You never heard me say the word fear once. You never will. Don't be afraid. Be not anxious. Do not fear. How many times does the Bible say that? How many times? So I'm with you. Fear not. Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. But don't be in fear. If you're in fear when you walk in here, I'm going to put you in faith.
Yeah.
Because I will not allow fear in this place.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So he's right. Don't be fearful. Don't be shaking in your boots, hiding behind your chair at your desk with a mask on, wondering about this invisible virus that's never been isolated. Don't be in fear about this crap. It's all made up. It's all crap. Don't be in fear about it. They're manipulating people through indoctrination, the medication, the vaccination. Do not be in fear. Do not be in fear. Absolutely. Yes.
That's Hebrews 2:15.
Mm-hmm.
Satan wants us to live in fear.
Wants you in fear.
But Satan said to Jesus, if you bow down and worship me, I'll give you all the kingdoms and the money and the power. But Jesus didn't, but many people throughout history have, and they are
Many
today. And Satan said, I will be like the Most High. So he's a copycat, and he's trying to do things through messing around with DNA and all the rest of it to make his own creation.
Sure is.
Yep.
Awesome. And there's only a couple times in the New Testament where the temple is mentioned, the actual located in Jerusalem temple. So people for a long time, a lot of biblical scholars have been saying, oh, the temple's got to be rebuilt in Jerusalem. The temple's got to be rebuilt in Jerusalem. The temple's got to be rebuilt in Jerusalem. Well, most of the time in the New Testament where the temple is being referred to, it's referring to what? Your body. So if the Antichrist comes and sets himself up in the temple, where's he setting himself up? In your body. We've watched Left Behind and read the books. So we're thinking that some dude out of the European Union is going to go and set himself up in the Temple of Jerusalem and say, ha ha, I'm the Messiah. It's, read that. Read how many times in the New Testament, search the words, the temple, and see if it's referring to your body or see if it's referring to the temple in Jerusalem. Very few times is it referring to the temple in Jerusalem. And very few Jews in the world are looking to rebuild the third temple. So just know that. Just know that. Your temple.
And we're also called the body of Christ.
We are called
the body of Christ.
Right.
He may be trying to create a body for himself.
Right.
Out of our temples.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's trying to create a genetically modified body for himself.
Yes.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Good observations. We're signing off here in a minute. Jane, go for it. Microphone.
Well, we just came through Hanukkah, which is a dedication of a rededication of the temple, our temple. And so this is a good time for all of us just to make a personal commitment to rededicate our temples and apply these light principles and allow our bodies to be filled with light and life and His love that casts out all fear. But we are the ones that are responsible for our temples.
Yep.
So take this time and rededicate. It's the season.
Rededicate. And if you know people who have taken the shot, I mean, they can be helped. They can, I'm not saying can we detox everything right out of them? Who knows? I mean, can you get it out of their DNA? Try it. But they've got to want to repent and turn around and face the fact that I was duped. And it takes so much more effort and so much more humility for a human to admit that they were wrong than most people are willing to pay. So, can we still help people? Can people still turn? Yeah, but it's going to take some work. And they have to want to admit that we need a microphone. We're doing the microphone for the recording, not for anyone here. We're doing the microphone so that we can hear it on the recording. Go ahead.
I probably need your help. I forgot what I was going to say. What were you just talking about? I forgot.
A lot of stuff.
That last
what
statement.
What were you just talking about?
What was
the last
that
2.5
statement?
hours I just taught a class.
I want to come and see you.
Everybody does.
I know what.
Everybody does.
Where, I have some friends that are believers who've taken the thing, and then they've kind of found out afterwards, and they were all freaking out. And I said, if you do it in ignorance, maybe I would stand on a scripture that says if I drink anything deadly poison, it won't harm me. So I'd be crying out to God for, it says if you drink anything deadly poison, or if you take it, taking something poisonous, I'll be using that scripture,
I might stand on that, or I might look and see. I might look and see if there's a scripture that talks about getting it injected into your bloodstream willingly for money. I might look and see.
Okay.
I mean, that's different than drinking
I've heard
something.
of an incident recently where someone discovered what they did, even though they didn't know what they were doing at the time, and they were prayed over. And I've heard of magnets sticking to people and all this kind of stuff. And after they prayed, the magnets didn't stick anymore. So God can heal anything. The other thing I wanted to say is we're talking about our body being the temple. Remember, when you become born again and saved, the Holy Spirit comes and lives in you forever. And we have a new creation. We have a new body that's coming, and we will be God's eternal temple for the rest of eternity, because the Holy Spirit is living in us forever.
There you go. All right. And that's a good place to end off. So yeah, did you all learn some stuff?
Yes.
Fabulous. We're going to sign off. Next week, December 13th, is you're going to want to check this one out. You're made up of 80% of what we're going to talk about. Your body is composed of 80% of what we're going to talk about next week. You want to know what's going on? Next week. The 13th? 13th? Yes. So water. I know it sounds like a fascinating concept, a fascinating class. I know. So learn more. You're going to learn more about water next week than you've ever heard in your life. So we'll talk to you next week. Dr. Brett Spradlin, Divine Design Natural Health, signing off. We'll see you soon.